Hi everyone, I'm Valentina Vladi, welcome to my vlog. Today we're going to be talking about 3 most common mistakes that people make when they're choosing an outdoor wedding venues. The one that affect the most pictures. That your wedding location is your backdrop for the pictures, and the prettier it is, the prettier the final results are. The first mistake is timing in relation to the outdoor sunlight. A lot of the time people choose the timing for the ceremony based on convenience or a venue availability. Well, what they don't think about is what's the sun situation is going to be at that time. And a lot of times it's end up being past the sunset, so in other words it's a total darkness, or it could be like right at the sunset, and in this case you would be missing out a lot of the good dreamy light for your portraits if you're having a ceremony at that time. Before you put that timing on invitations, think about your ceremony time. It is very crucial to have it so you have a very nice light outside. If you're curious of how to look for sun directions then watch my other video. I've been talking about it a lot. So let's talk about second mistake that people usually make is choosing the venue that has destructive backgrounds or destructive elements. And what are those things? Well, surprisingly, those are gazebos, arbors, it could be shades of the trees. So a lot of the time people think, well, we're just gonna have a gazebo, we're gonna be standing under the shade inside the gazebo, and all our wedding party will be standing around. And it sounds like a good idea, but in reality what happens is bride and groom are getting in with the officiant, are getting inside that gazebo. They're staying under a very dark shade versus the rest of the wedding party, and the rest of the wedding party exposed to direct sunlight, and they will be very bright, and the bride and groom will be very dark. Of course, every wedding photographer is gonna pay more attention to bride and groom, is gonna expose the camera for bride and groom's skin to make sure bride and groom look good. Well, what it does, it would make the rest of the wedding party look very washed out. So you wouldn't even see the facial details or anything. And that obviously is not a good ideal picture. Now, the photographers out there that listening to me right now, they're saying, well, you can always bring up flash and you can use flash inside the gazebo. Yes, you can, that's true, you can. But it's gonna change your overall look. If you're going for that natural sunlight look or natural outdoor look, and all of a sudden you just start popping flash on the bride and groom, here you just kill the purpose. The only option that I see that could look good is when everyone stays out and the gazebo is kind of in the background, maybe decorated nicely. That one is a good option. If you already signed if you're watching it and you already signed a contract and like, oh my god, I thought a gazebo is a good idea, well, you can actually still make it work. So the next thing are arbors. So for those people who doesn't know what the arbor is, it's a construction similar to gazebo, just doesn't have sides and usually rectangular. And on the top, on the roof, it consists of beams. And those beams drop, when the sun hits them, those beams drop the zebra shade on everyone's inside. So obviously if you're putting yourself and your bride and groom and officiant in a wedding party in the arbor, that's gonna have that stripy shade on everyone. Obviously it's not a good thing. There is a way to fix it, and it's more for the wedding planners. I would recommend to drape with the tulle, drape the roof of the arbor, kind of just stretch it so it'll help even out the shade. However, if there is a way to avoid it or stay in the front of it, I would do that. It's probably the easiest way to fix the arbor. And the third thing that I want to talk about are trees. Trees are, trees are great. I love trees. Everyone loves trees, and we're all saving them. But when it's time for pictures comes, for some reason I hear it a lot from like moms of my brides and grooms, and they're like, well, why don't you just go and stay under the tree and it's gonna look good. Well, the truth to the photography is usually the shade that the tree drops is not even. So in other words, when the sun hits the tree crown and kind of casts the shade, it's spotty. So when the trees are covering your ceremony side, you will end up with having like spotlight everywhere, and it's like dark bright, dark bright, dark bright, and it usually doesn't make a great picture. It just doesn't. There's not much you can do about it. Even if you start using a flash, it still would not do much good. I would avoid places that cast a strong spot shade. Now, the trees that are outside and don't cast shades are fine. So if they're on the background, that is totally acceptable. Or if they're surrounding the place of the ceremony, they're fine. When the sun starts setting and the shades from the trees start getting more even, that is okay too, but you need to be looking out. So here's a quick tip: when you're going to your ceremony site, ask someone to snap a picture on the time when you're planning the ceremony, so you can get a better idea of how it's gonna look like. Remember, what you see with your eyes is not the same what the camera will see. It's somehow different. Our eye is much more forgiving than the camera lens. So do that. Grab it on grab your phone and make a snapshot that's gonna show you the best how it's gonna look like. Mistake number 3 is not to think about a backup. Your wedding as good looking as your backup plan. So obviously the weather is unpredictable, and there could be a rain, there could be snow, there could be tornadoes. We are in Texas, I'm in Texas, so we have tornadoes, we have all kind of cool stuff that could happen with you outside. So think about it in advance and choose a location that has a great indoor option that you can, in the worst case, you can jump in and use it as your ceremony location or your reception location. I had a wedding where the bride booked her venue. It was a ranch. The wedding was supposed to be outdoors, and it had that pretty grass, and it had gazebo. I love gazebos, right? And the bride was supposed to be going down this little path, very cute, toward the gazebo to hit her groom, and everything seemed to be fine. But when I arrived at the location, the wedding coordinator, the manager of the venue, said that we have to move it inside. And on my question why, because it was a pretty nice day, it turned out that night before there was a pretty strong rain and it soaked the grass. So when the venue put the chairs in, the chairs start sinking in. So they had to move the location. And when I walked to see how the indoor location for the ceremony looked like, and it looked like industrial storage space. If you think of like fluorescent lighting and white ugly walls, no decorations, nothing, cement floor, it kind of like a Walmart look. No offense to Walmart, but it's not quite picturesque. Of course, I brought my flashes and I did my best to make it as good as it's possible, and at the end my bride loved the images. But wouldn't it be better if before she signed a contract, she would think about the backup location? So please, 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 think about backup location before you're signing that contract. Because afterwards, there's nothing you can change much. Please leave me your comments, let me know your questions. I will be happy to answer them. Thank you for watching. I hope there were nice tips, and I hope you will avoid those mistakes. And whenever it's time for your wedding comes, your wedding picture is gonna be awesome.